Asterisk when Jim Jones speaks. The whole rap game listens. But this time, things just got personal. After weeks of silent tension, Jim finally snapped, going all the way off on Pusha T, calling him out in a way nobody expected. Fans thought this was just another rap beef. But insiders are saying this might have crossed the point of no return. See? When Jim said you just crossed the line, it wasn't just a clapback. It was a warning. A line drawn between Harlem loyalty and Virginia pride. And if you know Jim Jones, if you know he doesn't make empty threats, this all started when Pusha T took subtle shots not just at Jim, but at the whole Dipset legacy. From old interviews to sneak bars and recent features, the tension kept building. Until now, tonight, we're breaking down why Jim Jones is furious. What Pusha T said that crossed the line. And why this feud could change the East Coast scene forever. Because this isn't just about rap. It's about respect, loyalty, and the kind of street code that never dies. So sit tight because what Jim just said. It might be the realest moment hip-hop's seen all year. When it comes to rap beefs, there's levels to this game. Some artists throw subliminals, some go quiet, and then there's Jim Jones, a man who never learned the art of silence. Because when you come for his name, or worse, for the legacy of Dipset, he's not the type to play industry politics. He's the type to respond loud and direct. For years, Jim Jones and Pusha T had this weird tension under the surface. It was never full-blown beef, but it was clear there was no real love either. The roots of this go back to the early 2000s. The Diplomats were running Harlem, and Virginia's Clips were building their street legend. Two powerful movements, same era, different codes. Now, fast forward to the Drake versus Pusha T war in 2018. That's where things really started to shift. Jim had always shown love to Drake, even appeared in support of OVO. But when Pusha dropped the story of Adidas, the rap world split in two. And Jim, he quietly picked his side. But things didn't explode until recently. It all started when Jim Jones went on The Breakfast Club and was asked about the top 50 rappers list. When they mentioned Pusha T's name, Jim didn't hold back. He said Pusha T. He's not in anyone's top 50. He never had a solo hit that the streets were bumpin'. What we talking about? Those few lines lit the internet on fire. Fans were divided. Some said Jim was just keeping it real, that Pusha, despite being respected lyrically, didn't have the catalog to match his reputation. Others said Jim was disrespecting a legend. And of course, Pusha T noticed. A few weeks later, during Pharrell's Louis Vuitton show in Paris, Pusha T performed a verse that many believe was aimed directly at Jim. The line, "Beware of the capes they wear in your city. They superheroes till they disappear in the smoke." Fans instantly connected the dots. Capes was clearly a reference to Dipset, famous for their flamboyant Harlem fashion and cape-style fits. The line was slick, but lethal. Jim caught wind of it almost immediately. He didn't tweet. He didn't post. He went back to the booth. Days later, Jim dropped a freestyle over Drake's Headlines beat, and he snapped. He said, "You ain't pushing no weight, you just pushing them lies. Virginia boys better chill before Harlem arrives." That was the moment everyone realized this wasn't about music anymore. This was about respect, behind the scenes. Sources close to Jim said he felt like Pusha was playing with his name for internet buzz. Jim's been in this game for over 2 decades, from We Fly High to Ballin'. He's seen artists rise and fall, and he's built his rep on loyalty, authenticity, and Harlem pride. So when Pusha decided to take slick shots, Jim saw it as a challenge to his legacy. Industry insiders even revealed that several rappers reached out privately, trying to calm things down. One source said Drake's team didn't want this getting out of control. They respect both sides, but Jim wasn't trying to hear that. In Jim's mind, this wasn't a small issue. It was about lines being crossed. And if you look deeper, there's something more emotional here. Jim Jones is a Harlem legend, a man who helped build a movement. Dipset wasn't just about music. It was about fashion, attitude, and a whole culture. They inspired a generation. Pusha, on the other hand, represents that Virginia elite, smooth, luxury coke rap, the kind that paints the streets in poetry. Two worlds, same foundation, the hustle, but when those worlds collide, that's when the pride comes out. Jim didn't just take offense because of a lyric. He took offense because, in his eyes, Pusha T has never shown Harlem the respect it deserves. He's never acknowledged the groundwork that artists like Dipset laid for street rappers to be mainstream icons. And now, the internet is picking sides again. Clips from old interviews resurfaced where Jim had called Pusha overrated. And fans started connecting even more dots, like when Drake brought Jim out on stage during his It's All a Blur tour, performing right after a Pusha diss segment. Coincidence? Not a chance. Even blogs started speculating that Drake was subtly using Jim as a chess piece in his long-standing feud with Pusha T, but Jim didn't care. He stood on business. One Harlem insider told us, Jim doesn't do if he has something to say, he'd gone, say it. Pusha is too slick with his words, but Harlem doesn't do sneak disses. We come face to face. As this feud heats up, hip-hop fans are asking the real question. Is this just music or something bigger? Because when Jim Jones said, "You just crossed the line," that line wasn't metaphorical. He was talking about boundaries of loyalty, respect, and legacy. This might be the start of one of the realest rap beefs we've seen in years, one that's not about chart numbers or online clout, but about pride, history, and the code of the streets. And if there's one thing Jim Jones has proven time and again from Love and Tenju, like Endry from Love and T, like look at this. And we all know, look at this. And we all know I've been exploring that. More hip-hop to capo. It's that he never backs down, as one fan commented under his latest post. When you diss Harlem, Harlem responds. Every single time. When Jim Jones dropped that freestyle, the streets heard it loud and clear. But what came next? Nobody saw coming. Within hours, social media exploded. Every major hip-hop blog, from Academics to The Shade Room, had Jim's clip running on repeat. Fans were dissecting every bar, every word, every smirk in that video. The energy was different. It wasn't just another rap response. It felt personal. Comments started flying. Jim token, like he really wants smoke. Pusha, better not let this slide. Harlem outside again. And while Jim was doing interviews and moving around New York, one thing was clear. He wasn't backing off. On a quick stop with Angie Martinez, he laughed and said, "I ain't into sneak disses. I talk straight. If it's pressure, say that." That line set the internet on fire again, because everybody knew who that was aimed at. Meanwhile, Pusha T stayed quiet. Too quiet. No tweets, no IG stories, nothing. But if you know Pusha, silence doesn't mean weakness. It means strategy. He's not the type to rant online. He waits, he plots, and when he moves, it's surgical. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, Pusha dropped a guest verse on a new track with an unexpected feature, a collab with one of Jim's industry rivals. The verse was calm, measured, but sharp enough to slice. He said they bailin' till the net rips, but never score in the streets / Harlem heroes turn villain when the mirror repeat. Fans froze. The ballin' line. The Harlem. He even said in one interview, "Ain't nobody writing for me, bro. Ain't nobody controlling me. I've been doing this since Push was selling mixtapes out the trunk." Hey? And that right there, that pride, is what's making this beef feel raw. But then came the twist nobody expected. Out of nowhere. An old video resurfaced from nearly 15 years ago, where Pusha T and Jim Jones were seen together backstage at a show, smiling, dapping each other up. The internet went crazy again. Some fans started asking what happened. They were cool back then. Turns out, that clip was from a time before things got complicated, before the industry lines were drawn between OVO, GOOD music, and Dipset affiliations. But when that video resurfaced, it made the situation feel even colder. Because now everyone realized this wasn't just rap beef. It was betrayal behind the scenes. Several big names reportedly tried to mediate, including Fat Joe and Jim's own Dipset brother, Cameron. Sources say Cam told Jim, "Bro, this one ain't worth it." The games changed. But Jim wasn't trying to hear it. To him, backing down now would mean letting someone disrespect Harlem unchecked. And that's not something he can live with. Meanwhile, Pusha T's brother, No Malice, reportedly spoke up in an interview too, saying something cryptic. The streets don't need another war. Sometimes pride makes men forget purpose. Fans took that as a subtle message aimed at both sides, but mostly at Jim. Still, Jim wasn't done. He popped out in Miami, performing at a club. And right before his We Fly High set, he stopped the music and said into the mic, "This one's for everybody thinking they can sneak D's and get away with it. I've been outside since before half y'all had a deal." The crowd erupted. Phones went up. Another viral moment. And while Jim was enjoying the momentum, people started asking, where's Pusha's next move? Because Push is known for one thing: he doesn't rush. When he drops, it's lethal. Rumors are flying that Push is cooking up a full response track, some even claiming Pharrell's back in the studio with him, helping craft the production. If that's true, the next round might shake the whole industry. But there's another angle here too: the industry divide. A lot of major rappers are staying quiet, not picking sides. You can feel that tension in the air. Nobody wants to be caught between Harlem and Virginia, between a street general like Jim Jones and a lyrical assassin like Pusha T. Even Rick Ross, who's worked with both, avoided the question during a recent podcast. He just smiled and said, "I got love for both of them, brothers." But you know how the game goes. Sometimes words cut deep. The energy right now feels like hip-hop's about to witness something major, not just another diss track, but maybe a new chapter in East Coast beef culture. Because both these men are too proud, too respected, and too real to just let it fade. And the scariest part? Neither one's fully unloaded yet. Jim's still recording. Push's still quiet. And that's silence. That's the calm before the storm. Because once Pusha fires back officially, it won't just be about Harlem versus Virginia. It'll be about who really runs the streets of hip-hop in 22-5. And if you think this is over, think again. This is just heating up. That the energy in the hip-hop world right now feels tense. Every move, every post, every verse is being watched. Jim Jones and Pusha T might not be trading words on Twitter, but their silence is louder than any diss track. Fans are glued to their screens waiting for the next spark, because everyone knows something's coming. Back in Harlem, Jim's been spotted in the studio more than usual. A few snippets leaked online, muffled beats, blurred faces, but fans could tell that voice anywhere. You could hear him saying, "Don't play with Harlem business." That one line alone had social media spinning again. People started tagging Pusha under every post, daring him to respond. And while all this noise is happening, Pusha's moving like a chess player. No statements, no reactions, no IG lives. Just quiet moves. Rumor is he's been locking in with Pharrell and the Neptunes. It's working on something heavy, something that's not just a diss, but a statement. Insiders close to good music say, Push is not emotional. He's strategic. When he responds, it won't be petty. It'll be legacy level. It's exactly what makes this moment dangerous. Jim's built on emotion, Harlem energy, loyalty, street pride. Push is built on calculation, surgical bars, slow cuts, and lines that live forever. When two energies like that collide, hip-hop doesn't get small explosions. It gets earthquakes. The fans are split down the middle. On one side, you've got the streets, the ones who grew up on Dipset, on Ballin', on that Harlem swagger. They're riding for Jim no matter what. On the other side, you've got the lyric heads, the ones who worship penmanship and precision. For them, Pusha T's wordplay is sacred. They're saying Jim can talk, but Push kills with words. Even major artists are starting to show their colors subtly. A few New York rappers reposted Jim's freestyle with fire emojis. Meanwhile, producers from Virginia dropped cryptic tweets like, The king of coke rap ain't worried. Nobody's saying names, but everybody knows what it's about. Behind the scenes, industry OGs are trying to play peacekeepers. Fat Joe reportedly reached out again, saying, "This can't turn into another 50 versus Ja situation. That era's gone." But the truth is, beef never really leaves hip-hop. It's part of what keeps the culture alive. Competition, pride, proving who's really got it. And right now, both of these men are fighting for something bigger than music. Jim's fighting for Harlem's legacy, to remind the world that Dipset didn't just influence a generation, they defined it. The way rappers dress, talk, even walk, that all came from Harlem culture. Pusha, on the other hand, is defending his name, his reputation as one of the sharpest lyricists to ever touch a mic. He spent decades crafting his image, never letting anyone see a crack. This beef touches more than ego. It touches foundation. Because when you talk about Harlem and Virginia, you're talking about two very different schools of hustle. Harlem's flashy, emotional, expressive. It's about showing the world you made it. Virginia's cold, calculated, and reserved. It's about precision and silence. The clash between the two represents two different kinds of power. A week later, a leaked verse surfaced online, a rough mix reportedly from Pusha T's new session. The quality was low, but the content was pure fire. You could clearly hear him say, "They bailin' till the money dry." But respect don't sell. Harlem fly high, but them wings don't gel. Fans went wild. If that line's real, it's another shot at Jim and Dipset. Jim laughed it off in a clip, but the look in his eyes said everything. He's not done. He's too deep in this now. One post on his Instagram read, "We don't do subs. We do pull-ups." The comment section filled up instantly. Push better, stay ready. Harlem not playing. It's finna get ugly. The interesting part is how quiet the mainstream media is being. Big outlets aren't pushing this story too hard. Maybe they don't want another real-life conflict spilling into the streets. But hip-hop fans know when two real ones collide. There's always that thin line between lyrics and reality. Meanwhile, in Virginia Beach, local fans are already taking sides too. Murals of Pusha T have been popping up again, with graffiti tags that say things like "The King Still Reigns." Harlem, on the other hand, is turning this beef into fuel. DJs in uptown clubs are running back Jim's freestyles every night. You walk into any lounge and somebody's playing, you just crossed the line. One fan said online, "It's not even about who's better. It's about who stands taller." And that's exactly the truth. This beef has moved beyond bars and streams. It's now about legacy, image, and the kind of respect that money can't buy. Even Drake threw a little spark without saying too much. During one of his shows, right after performing headlines, he looked into the crowd and said, "They know who really runs this." No names, no context, but the crowd instantly started chanting Jim. Jim, Jim. That was enough to keep the rumor mill spinning for another week by this point. Everyone's waiting for one thing, a real track from both sides. People want a story of a Deedon-level diss from Pusha, and a back-to-back Type Street anthem from Jim, and both artists know. Whoever drops first sets the tone for the whole war. But Jim's been around too long to act reckless. Even though he's fiery, he's smart. He knows how to play the moment. He's been teasing snippets, dropping subliminals, but he hasn't unleashed the full track yet. He's letting the hype cook. In one of his recent lives, he said something that might have summed up the whole situation. This ain't about who's the best rapper. It's about who's the realest. And that's something you can't fake. That's the kind of statement that stays with you, because when Jim says it, it doesn't sound like a threat. It sounds like a promise. It sounds like a... The truth is, no matter how this plays out, hip-hop's the winner here. Because every few years, the culture needs this kind of energy. That feeling that something real is happening again. Two veterans, two respected names going bar for their pride. No auto-tune, no TikTok trends, just raw rap energy. And maybe that's what makes this beef so powerful. It's not about charts, it's not about playlists. It's about reminding the world that hip-hop still has warriors. that the streets still matter. That respect still has a price, as one fan wrote under a viral clip. This ain't beef. This is history repeating itself. Harlem and Virginia, two worlds colliding. Whoever wins, the culture wins. Jim Jones versus Pusha T isn't just rap beef anymore, it's a moment. A living, breathing reminder that in hip-hop, every word counts, every bar can spark a fire, and one wrong line can cross the line forever. So what do y'all think? Did Jim Jones go too far? Or did Pusha T finally get a taste of his own medicine? Because one thing's for sure, this story is far from over. Every time one of them moves, the whole game shakes a little harder. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Who you riding with? Team Harlem or Team Virginia? Jim Jones or Pusha T? Let's see where the real ones stand. And if you made it this far, you already know the vibes. Hit that like button if you respect real hip-hop. Smash that, subscribe if you're tired of fake drama and want the truth straight from the culture. We've got more exclusives coming, more reactions, more breakdowns, more raw moments straight from the heart of the game. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next chapter. Because when this beef goes next level, you'll want to be right here when it happens. This is your channel name, where the streets meet the story and the truth never sleeps. Stay locked in because this ain't the end. It's just the beginning.